Guys, I'm just distraught. My Porsche down there in Naples didn't make it. This is one of the luxury vehicles that I had down there in Naples, and it didn't make it, bro. I don't, the insurance is going to pay for it, but I'm still emotionally distraught from this. You can see the water's just leaking out of it, and, well, wait a minute, I don't know how many Porsche. Yo, thing had water in it, bro. This is the real situation on the ground right now in Southwest Florida.
Rich people lost their cars, but the
How do you know it
insurance will
wasn't
pay
a
for
poor
it.
person, and that's the only car they had? Somebody like me, who has all their net worth tied up on cars, Katie. How do you know it wasn't somebody like me who has all their money tied up in cars? Is that one getting flooded out too?
Yep.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, my Benz didn't make it either, bro. You can see it had water in it by the cut of the windshield. So you guys can see what the aftermath of this hurricane
Was for Naples.
Oh, dude, we lost so much. We lost Benzes, Ferraris. We've lost so much. And the insurance companies also lost so much because they had to send me a check. But I do know people in Naples that lost cars, and they think the insurance is going to try to play the game. It's like weird how these people are gone. They're like, you know what? We're gone. This is not for me. But this is what it's really like down here, bro. This is a real situation in Naples right now. Traffic like crazy. Lines of cars that didn't make it getting pushed back to the luxury cars that didn't make it. Because, you know, along the coast where the storm surge was, it's mostly rich people. This guy's heading back to California. He's like, I am not going to go through this ever again. We're moving back, honey. We haven't had power in 5 days. I'm not going to make it.
Oh, the party's just getting started.
The party's just getting started out here. Where you going? Come back. But this is the real situation, y'all. Traffic has been unbearable. Lots of junk removal companies making money. Yes. This is the real aftermath of a hurricane. What's this thing? A water truck? Looks like it flipped there.
Alabama made it out here.
Look, this truck looks like it flipped. Lots of law enforcement. So this truck looks like it flipped or something. See, it's got like water coming off it.
Mm-hmm.
This thing has like water leaking off. It looks like it
It's
flipped.
a water truck.
Yeah, but it looks like it flipped or something. Look at the bumper, and it's kind of dirty. It looks like it flipped or something.
Yeah.
Like it didn't really make it. But this is the reality of after a hurricane aftermath. I don't know what happened up ahead, but you can see there's like lots of tow trucks in this traffic jam. Most of them are taking cars to the scrap yards. The insurance lots, which I would love to get inside. I tried to get inside one of the insurance lots, and we had people come out there and scream at us like, "You cannot record this!" I'm like, "Come on, man! It's a video of the lifetime." 1,000 cars that were flooded in Naples, a bunch of Ferraris and stuff, and a bunch of like luxury vehicles that rolled over. And I'm like, "Come on, man! Let me get my video, man!" But this is a real deal now. Traffic has been unbearable in all directions, especially during the rush hour. It's not even rush hour yet, but rush hour gets bad. Especially like at least on 75, this might be an accident or something, but at least in the other, when you get off the highways, what is that thing, a van? Lots of cars that just did not make it are being towed right now. Didn't make it. These might just be, do these look flooded? The red one looks like it might have been flooded. Does it look like they're flooded or it's just being towed?
It looks being towed.
Well, the insurance companies, they'll tow you. I remember with one hurricane.
Flood. This says they're flooded.
Does it say flooded?
Yeah.
So with the window, with the glass says flooded?
Yeah. Ian. Flood.
They say flood?
Yeah, it says flood.
Oh.
But they look clean.
Well, that's the thing. You don't know if were they flooded, if they were inside a garage.
Yeah.
They could have been inside a garage and got flooded, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do say flooded on it. They said Ian flood. So they could have been like inside a garage and they didn't get dirty, you know?
Yeah.
Like it could have just been water that came up into a house and they were in the garage and they didn't get dirty.
Yeah.
Shed! A shed man.
Oh, this isn't too much further. This this is past.
A lot of people's cars got flooded. They didn't. They just like try to dry them out and like keep it moving. But that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
I'd have got the insurance involved right away.
Mm-hmm.
This is Interstate 75. Lots of tow trucks. Traffic has been a nightmare since the hurricane because, like, especially like 41 during the rush hours and stuff. Why is there aluminum in the middle of the road?
No idea.
I think this might be the reason why we're here.
Yeah. It says move over.
What's it? A bunch of scrap metal flipped over? Truck hauling scrap metal?
Trailer with scrap metal.
Oh, he crashed. They were hauling scrap metal and they flipped it. Okay. They were taking a load of scrap metal down to the Garden Street. Lost control, flipped. It was probably back heavy.
Yeah.
But yep, that's also kind of indirectly hurricane related. Somebody hauling scrap metal. But traffic's been a nightmare, and it's going to continue to be a nightmare. Especially in US 41, Fort Myers still doesn't have power in a lot of the main streets. So if you're on 41 or Colonial, the street lights aren't working. That means that the traffic is a nightmare, especially around rush hour in Fort Myers. It takes a little bit more patience to do normal things now. As you can see, everything's kind of that's kind of indirectly hurricane related right there. Somebody hauling some scrap metal didn't realize they were back heavy and they started to fishtail and boom. Yo estoy bastante interesante, un accidente muy gigante. But yeah. Yep, it's Southwest Florida right now. Represent for the SWFL. All my peeps off of Gulf Shore Drive. Really going through it right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to my folks down in Port Royal. I know you've been through it, dog.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I feel bad for you.
I lost a lot of homies on the island. Island boys. You realize that when I don't know if you the Ron DeSantis did a press conference with Joe Byron.
Yeah.
And he almost said they're Island boys. He's like, why don't the people evacuate the island? He's an island boy. These are island people. They're island people. He almost said they're Island boys. He's like, I'm an island boy. He almost
He's
said
been
it.
watching YouTube.
Yeah, you can tell Ron DeSantis has been watching too much YouTube because they're like, sir, why didn't the people? Did you watch that news conference? Like, he was so uncomfortable.
No, I don't watch that stuff.
It was like a press release where like him and Joe Byron had to do like a thing together, and they're like both together like on a news conference. So you can tell like it's like one of those like it's like a Thanksgiving dinner where the family doesn't get along but they're all together. Like they just look like they weren't supposed to be there together. Like you can tell they didn't like each other, and like it looks like Ron is in the background. He looks like an iguana. He's like flipping his nose out, like sticking his tongue out. And, like it's like the most uncomfortable news conference I've ever seen.
You're surprised he's not putting deer horns on him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the most uncomfortable news conference I've ever seen. He's like in the back. Ron's in the background, like his nose is flicking. His like, there's no microphone on him, but every once in a while he says something.
Yeah.
Like his like nose is flicking, his eyes are twitching. Like he's in the background, like sticking his tongue out and stuff. Like the most uncomfortable news conference I've ever seen. And then Joe Byron's like, he's like. He did one thing that I found hilarious. I just forgot it.
Yeah.
But yeah. They asked Ron. They're like, so why didn't these people leave the island, and why won't they leave the island still? He's like, because they're island people. They're island boys and island girls. You know, it's like they're island people. They're not leaving. He's like, there's no talking sense into these people. But after he said it, like he cracked up because he almost said they're island boys. He was like, he almost went like, because they're an island boy. Like, you know, you can tell he thought about saying because they're island boys.
Yeah.
He's like, because they're island. Because after he said it, he's like, they're island people. They're island people. There's no fixing them.
Yeah.
And after he said it, he like stopped for a minute and like chuckled. Like you could tell he felt like saying, because he's an island boy. Like, you can tell he literally thought about saying, because I'm an island boy. Like, why didn't these people leave the island? And he's like, they're island people. He's an island boy. He's not going to leave, even if there's a hurricane. I just found that hilarious when he goes. But anyways, they did make a bridge to get into Matlacha. It's like a temporary bridge. That's what the news conference is about. But it was the most uncomfortable thing I've ever seen, because they've been taking jabs at each other forever, and now they're right next to each other. Like, yeah, we're working together. We're working things out. We're making this thing work.
Yeah, it's working.
It's working somehow. There's a need to exit. It was definitely like, I've never seen somebody in a news conference look so uncomfortable. It was like in the background, all the other people are standing straight. He's like picking his nose, touching his hair, opening his mouth for no reason. It was like the most uncomfortable It was like the most uncomfortable thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
You've got to see it. Like, it was like the most awkward news conference I've ever seen. It was so awkward. It was beyond awkward. It was like, it was just weird. Like, you could tell he was so uncomfortable. Like, everybody else is standing straight. Nobody is like at all like acting weird or anything. Like, he was just like the one he was just like just, you could just tell he was not comfortable whatsoever.
Yeah.
A little staging ground there. Oh, I'm sorry. Alright guys, that's Southwest Florida. You know what time it is.